Hi everyone and welcome. My name is Gad. I'm a Google developer expert of machine learning based in Lisbon, Portugal, and today with me is Claudio. He is a machine learning engineer. How are you, Claudio?
Hi everyone, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. So today we're going to talk about Jupyter Notebook services on Google. But before we're even going to talk about how to use Jupyter Notebook services on Google, I want to ask you, Claudio, why should I even consider using a service on the cloud versus just running Jupyter Notebooks on my Mac?
So basically your computer is not ideal to run Jupyter Notebooks, So let's think of an example where you want to run a cat boost model and you might need more CPUs to train the model. You cannot just add more CPUs to your computer, right? In the cloud you can. Basically in the cloud it gives you the ability to request all of the amount of computing power that you need for your projects. Another example, if you have the new M1 chips, the M1 chips are not supporting the most recent Python libraries, so you will run into a lot of compatibility issues. So the cloud basically gives you a dedicated and stable environment for this type of workload. And you can even work remotely, so you can basically have everything that you need in the cloud.
So basically, it's a way of getting a dedicated environment just for my Jupyter Notebooks. So if I do want to work on Google, what options do I have to have a Jupyter service?
Basically, you have three options. You have Google Colab, you have the deep learning virtual machines that are integrated in Compute Engine, and the last one is the Workbench in Vertex AI.
Okay, you mentioned Colab as the first one. It sounds very familiar. It's more like Google Docs or Google Slide, right? It has the same feeling.
Yeah, definitely. You could say that it's very similar to the Google Docs environment. Like even when you open Google Colab, it will look very similar to the user interface. It even stores the notebooks that you are working on in your Google Drive. So like you said, it's very, very similar to Google Docs. The best part is also that it's free.
Oh, cool. You all like free. Can you maybe show me Google Colab?
Yeah, definitely. Let me show you to you.
So this is a demo project that I did recently on Google Colab, where I did face mask detection on people. We used the dataset from Kaggle and we downloaded directly from Kaggle within the Google Colab, as you can see. We also did some MLflow tracking. So as you can see, we can do everything inside Google Colab. So each cell, I organize it and you can properly see which cell does what. You can also plot images and graphs. As you can see here, we are trying to see if the dataset was loaded properly. Finally, we had a JavaScript demo that accesses the camera feed, and you can take a photo to test out the model. And here we have a picture that we took, and it was able to detect that I was using a face mask.
Okay, Colab looks really great, but it's not part of Google Cloud, right? So what's exactly the relationship between Google Cloud and Google Colab?
Yeah, like you said, so Colab is not a part of Google Cloud. Google Cloud is a completely different service provided to you by Google. I'd say it's definitely more for professional use cases. So it provides you with a whole lot of services that you might need within these cases. For example, services within the areas of big data and machine learning, and the services that Google provides to you will do all the heavy lifting for you in this professional environment. And Colab, I'd say it's a more limited resource. Because it's free, right? So Google Colab, I'd say it's more fitted for you to run demos on, also for academic purposes, and it's also just a very nice way to share your Jupyter Notebooks around with your teammates.
Okay, so one is more like a limited environment and one is more professional. Okay, you convinced me. I have a very professional, difficult use case. I want to use Google Cloud. What is my default to go to on Google Cloud to get a Jupyter Notebook?
I'd say Vertex AI. Vertex AI, it's very easy to set up. You can have your Jupyter Notebook running within 30 seconds. So I'd go for that.
Can you maybe show me that?
Yeah, of course, I'll show you.
So this is the Vertex AI dashboard. In here you can create either a managed notebook or a user managed notebook. The main difference between the two of them is that the managed notebooks are managed by Google themselves. So they're less customizable, I'd say, but they will give you access to new features such as idle shutdown. The user managed ones are, of course, managed by the client, the one that's creating the notebook, and of course, they're going to be less customizable. So after you create your machine, it is going to be listed under the user managed notebooks, and here you will see a big button that says Open Jupyter Lab. And once you open the button, it will quickly show you the Jupyter Lab environment where you can run all of your code and your experiences. And as you can see, it is very, very quick to open it up.
Okay, so Workbench as part of Vertex AI looks like a very professional tool. But before elaborating on it, let's talk about the difference again between Colab and Vertex AI in terms of the cost. Would it be correct to say that Colab is free while Vertex AI is paid?
Well, yes and no. So when you sign up to Google Cloud, Google actually gives you a $300 credit. So I'd say that's more than enough to test out the whole platform. It will give you access to many, many hours of Compute Engine. And like we talked about, Colab is, of course, it's free, but they actually have a pro membership. So you can actually be paying for Colab to access more computing power.
So it's funny because for a period of time, I can find myself paying for Colab while running on Vertex AI for free.
Yeah, exactly.
And when I do pay for Workbench as part of Vertex AI, what am I paying for?
So in that case, you'll be basically paying for three things. The first one is the Compute Engine, then the management fees, and finally some extra services. So when you request a Workbench notebook to Google, you're basically getting a virtual machine on its own. So you'll be actually getting billed by the millisecond that you're using, right? Then the management fees right now, like Google is billing you a 5-cent fixed fee per core. And finally, the extra services that I mentioned, like it will include like BigQuery if you use it, of course, and then network, IP. So yeah, like all those bundle up in your final bill.
And it sounds like they can ramp up really quickly. So do I have an option to do some cost optimization for Workbench?
Yeah, so Google actually gives you a committed discount. So in the cases that you might need a machine for 1 or 3 years. And if you're going to use the machine for most of that time, it will actually be very, very profitable. But in the cases that we are talking about, so notebooks, right? Like you won't be using the notebook for 24/7, right? And I wouldn't recommend. I'd say that there are better options for this specific case.
It sounds more like a spot instance case. It sounds like a more of a spotty use case for like discount, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I'd say like for notebooks, a spot instance is a very better fit, right? So you basically will be getting like all of the computing power, but at a discounted price, right? And the only thing is Google might take away the instance from you if there's a bit of higher demand. But overall, I really, really, really recommend like spot instances for notebooks.
So what options do I have? What to have notebooks on Google Cloud on a spot instance?
So Workbench won't allow you to use the spot instances, but you have another option within Compute Engine. And you can actually request a spot instance directly from the Google Cloud CLI when you're setting up the virtual machine in the beginning. So right now, that's I'd recommend for you to go directly to Compute Engine.
And I think you have a tutorial just about that right below.
Yeah, you can check it up on our website, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Claudia, for this talk. It was really educating for me, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.
Bye.